sides of the buildings over here on the left. Now these buildings, the architect had his office 9 feet of water. Now we don't have basements. We have above ground storage, all right? Well, his office took about 9 feet of water. All of the evidence was in the basement. Above ground parish prison took about 11 feet of water. So those prisoners, you saw them standing in obstructed view. There are no posts on the inside of the Superdome. And it's the home of our football, the NFL football team, the Saints. But it's a multi-purpose building. You know, they use it for that was put there when the building was constructed in 1973. That's a water reservoir. You see, if the rainwater were allowed to just run off the top of that Superdome, all these streets where the mayor and the civil defense and all his group were, for unknown reasons, the mayor leaves City Hall and his advisors, and he goes to the Hyatt. And he doesn't know why he did it. Of those. The city, the C. Ray Nagin, his name is Clarence Raymond, but he doesn't like 80% of this city was underwater for almost 6 projects in areas where they had 3 feet of water. The P says, you have to use your imagination, he says that that's the beginning of an architectural garden. But I pause just to show you that it's not debris. Now, ahead of this is one, but no damage. You know, it's just no students in the area. Now, the Cresson home over here got flooded, but not the homes, the rooms on the top. Now, what I'm going to do is pull over again. See in that second block? A big old red roof? That's the red roof, yep, of the clubhouse on the fairgrounds. Now, our racetrack isn't known so much for the horses, which race from Thanksgiving Day until the Sunday before Palm Sunday. That's our racing season. Well, part of the clubhouse roof blew off, and the racetrack was under that brackish water for 6 weeks. That had to come up. We did not have a racing season, but we did have, see, on that site is where we have our Jazz and Heritage Festival every year. And thank God for Shell Oil Company, because they financed the Jazz and Heritage Festival after the storm, and they financed it again last year. Because lack of money, they needed seed money to get started. And it was Shell Oil Company that gave that seed money. So if you look again, you can see that site of the Jazz and Heritage. Muffins that you saw floating, those came from St. Bernard Parish, not from any of these. Not from any. They're doing a combo, so they stop at the, it's to us by Isabella's Joe D. They're doing a, comes from the Choctaw Indian word bayuk, and it means natural waterway connected to another body of water. It's a distributary of a big body of water, and the big body of water is Lake Pontchartrain. This was the back door to the city when the front door was the Mississippi River. Now we're going to turn to the right. We're going to follow Bayou St. John until we get to Harrison Avenue. Things that you could not ever replace, not looted. The clubhouse, we are 5 blocks off of S because the water now is 5 feet. So in these homes, you had 5 feet of water. You see all those little FEMA trailers all down to say? Now, normally, FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, gives you FEMA trailers, no rent. If you say, no, my house is structurally unsound, I got to take it down, you don't get a trailer. You who need the trailer most, you don't get the trailer. So the people came back, you see. Now look at the little condominiums next to it, the 2-level condominiums. They just started, just about 6 weeks ago, they were gutted. They were standing there for a year and a half with everything still jammed in it. Not an island, because St. Bernard Avenue runs across the back of it. But it's 6 feet above where we are right now. Now, you see how we're up top and see how we're going to go down the street? you can see it and feel how we're going down, down, down. This area is about 5 feet, 6 feet lower than Park Island, which is over to the left. Now look at these houses along here. Some people have returned, but the majority of them did not. Now you're going to see here by the, you'll see a little blonde brick house on the corner, and you have to look through the entrance to see the yellow door. I'm going to pause so you can see it, and you'll see the water line. You can see the water line on the house. See, it's now up 5 feet?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you look through that entranceway, can you see the yellow door?
Yeah.
You can see the water line there.
Oh.
Now, notice, I'm going to make this little turn. We're in kind of middle class, upper middle class, and a half a block, bingo, right here, we got another big St. Bernard housing project. So you can see how the city is set up. It's like a checkerboard. You have poor, you have middle class, upper middle class, all in the shadow of each other. Now these projects have been closed off, and anybody trying to get in, even though you haven't been evicted, you would be arrested for trespassing. Even if you had a key to put in the keyhole of your own door, you'd still be trespassing. Yeah, no rent. On that black paper there are names of people who say, I'm coming back. I want to come back to my home. You see? See their names? You can see it better on this side. People must decide. Let us come back. Survivors Village. And you see all those names over on the left. We will come home. You see? That's what they're saying. But there's no place. Come back and say, let me see how I can, what I can do. They're stuck where they are until after the storm. You know, we're coming up to our 2nd anniversary. 2 hospitals, Turo and Children's. That's it. House right across the street, 5 feet of water. You tell people, well, my side of the street didn't flood, but your side of the street had 5 feet of water. You know, you have to see it to understand it. Convent. It was an order of Catholic nuns. The retired nuns lived on half. The other half of the building they used for classrooms for people over 55. They'd have Penedife lace classes and bridge classes. A date. Yeah. That's the date that the first responders got there. And then on the left-hand side, it would be an abbreviation, like who were the first responders from Pennsylvania, Arkansas, you know, they identify themselves. The bottom of the X or the cross will give you the number, like of dead that were found. Blue roof. They don't last. They don't last at all. And then on the right-hand side, if they were dead, they rear yard, because when the first responders came, they were rescuing. They were not into recovery. So they didn't Warrington just for 1 block because they were demolishing a house earlier. We might have the street blocked off. This is where they had cement and you see the mud. That's where the levee broke. And the picture here tells why it broke. It was the Corps of Engineers that said of the Corps. Now, why? Because the sheet piling that was supposed to go down all the way to this clay area went down to the peat area. They didn't go deep enough. And this is organic jelly. So when the water from the lake, it came back through the drainage canals because there were no gates at the end of the drainage canals. So the water came in and put pressure up against the levee. Where the sheet piling was there, it held. But the mud under it was pushed up over. So these people got like 3 feet of mud in their homes before they got the water. And then it caused the sheet piling to become unstable, and that's when it gave. It just came right down. Now, these houses here, the people are trying to be good citizens. You know, they follow in the ordinance that says you have to have your house gutted and you have to have windows and doors. that they do. And then you have to have your grass cut. Now this you can see, this is a big X that you can see. Remember I was telling you, asking about the X's? You can see the date, and then the Pennsylvania group came. There were no dead, so they didn't have to leave a message, you know. Now, look behind you. Look on the roof. So they marked it on the roof. Drainage canals. Now I'm going to pause because nobody's behind me, thank goodness. And if you just move up, you know, hold yourself up just a little bit, you will see where the gates are being constructed at the end of the canal. Can you see it? It's
Oh yeah.
see the gates?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's what they're doing on the three canals. On here, the London, the 17th Street, and the Orleans Canal. Now, if you look over here to the left, you're going to see the sheet piling that was pulled out.
Yeah.
See that? Now, unfortunately, and it after the Great Lakes with brackish water. With brackish water. So keep narrowing it down. Lake. And you can see it's a pleasure lake. It's also, you have commercial fishermen,
Turn around.
you know, on the fin fish and the shellfish from this lake are wonderful. You know, the shrimp, the crab, yeah. It's in and the Coast Guard said that they're going to fix it, but we don't know when. And then across the way where the American flag is flying, you notice those temporary buildings? That was the site of the Southern Yacht Club, the second oldest yacht club in the United States. New York State has the oldest, but this is the second oldest. What happened was, you saw it on TV. It was burning and everything around it was flooding. But it was burning because the chef cooked with natural gas and he didn't cut off the pilot light when he left. You already ahead of me. When the natural gas line ruptured, it caught fire. Yeah, and it was horrible, you know, to see that. Your heart broke when you saw that.
That one there.
And you look over here. Now these people, again, you have people that had a lot of money. You had doctors, lawyers, and they had insurance, but they had insurance up to $250,000. Overnight, these doctors, lawyers they were homeless and jobless. They didn't have any patients. The doctors didn't have any patients to treat. The lawyers had no clients. Nobody was here. The Corps is putting in those gates, like I showed you by the London Avenue Canal. Now this was all nice streets at one time, prior to the storm. But the weight of the water caused subsidence, the pushing down, you know, the sinking of the streets. Now all this area here had houses, condominiums, apartments. They're gone. They're gone. Now, you see these telephone poles, these old telephone poles, they go up 50, 60 feet up. We treat those telephone poles with creosote and use them in building. We pile drive them into the ground about 5 feet apart from each other. And then once they get to solid ground, some go down 40, some go down 50 feet, you level them off, and on top of that you put the cement slab and you build your house from that. This is the Lakeview area. Remember that reclaimed area? So you needed your house to float in the mud. So that's why you had the pilings and the cement slab. You're going to see that better up here when we get closer to these houses on the left. On the right, though, this 750-foot area, this is what you saw on TV, where the levee broke. This is the side of the 17th Street Canal levee that broke. 750 feet. You saw the helicopters dropping in those big old white sandbags to fill in the hole. This is where that happened. Now, just because the Corps is fixing this where it broke, does that mean that the whole levee system is okay?
No.
Nope. All they're doing is Band-Aid. They're patching what gave. So we have a whole system that's vulnerable because the system still has those sheet pilings that go down 14 feet. They don't even go down below the level of the wall. Now we're going to make a left-hand turn here because I want to get off this. It gets worse. The street gets worse up ahead. I'm going to try and get you on a nice. These vacant pieces of land here had houses at one time. But you see people coming back. You know, they're working on their homes, and they will eventually come back. Their grass is cut. Like these people, government, if you have an outlet. So nothing can be on that first level except the vehicle.
The ones that have slabs
Our water intrusion killed those beautiful ball cypress trees, our state tree, the swamp tupelo, the swamp maple, good solid root.
that looks like ran down.
Nothing, right? But this was all shrimp trawlers and all because Bayou Avenue goes straight out into the Gulf of Mexico. But ahead of this, you see those mounds there? It goes all the way out to way in the back of the wetlands. This area was not here prior to the storm. That's the Mountain of Sorrows because it's people's houses and all the inside of their houses. You can see where the crane is in the back trying to level everything down. That's all brand new since the storm. It was nothing but unhealthy wetlands. But you're going to see these big old 18-wheelers coming about every 20 minutes, dumping. There's one that's going to be cutting in front of us up here. Dumping houses that have been gutted. Well, it's not an 18-wheeler, but you can see the side of houses, the awards of children, the letters that you got from your papa from Vietnam. All that's gone. That's where it is.
Now that isn't what they want to.
I told you the water covered the roof, so anything that floated, when the water came down, it rested on top of the roof, and it also rested between houses too. So over here, if you look to the left, see it?
Look! Oh yeah.
But that wasn't unusual. You know, anything floating when the water came down. Now I'm gonna go to the end of the street and come back again. Since the storm, see the planes? It's still there.
Now who's gonna take that out?
Well, you notice this street, Palmasana. That's the 40 Orphan Canal.
Okay.
It's a drainage canal, 40 Orphan. 3 miles gutted. You see all these houses, and then
The debris.
yeah, and it's you don't know what neighbor's gonna come back. Like this man is back. You see, he's living in his house, but he has no neighbors. Like this house even hasn't been gutted yet. You can still see the inside. You know, it's just with yeah. And then look, but look at the.
Now what does that X mean? That's
Oh, that means that they with the boat hanging off the roof.
With the boat.
yeah.
Yeah, and you can see all the debris. You can see how high the water came. You know, it's
That's the big debris left after a lot of rain.
Nothing was spared this year.
yes, that's right.
2-year gas meter.
That's right. Now this house hasn't been gutted either. I mean, you can't go in because if you go in, you run the risk of. And they were not poor houses. You know, they were middle-class people with all your little treasures, and they're gone.
Now this slab, there was a house here.
Oh God,
So-
so sad. And we think because we didn't have power for 2 weeks. You did.
In Buccaneer Villa, right up by the government slab on grade, but it was skewed. It moved the house off of the slab.
Did you rebuild that?
Oh, it had to be, no, it's 80%, and mine had to be bulldozed. All the houses in on my block were all down. Okay, and then this is, it went over that. It went over that, and yes, you can. You see those 2 sets of windows?
On the bottom.
See, you see it's whitish looking, and they have rusty spots on it.
It's only broken window there is.
Well, if it goes above that, you just, and then if you see it goes above that, and you can see the water line on the white brick.
Yeah. taken a picture of that.
Correct. That's how we know the water got 139,000 for a FEMA trail. And he's saying, and that's, yeah, it was on TV, and the jugular was popping out of his neck because he's saying, why? Because we have to pay back. You don't get all that for free. You have to pay back the money that they're sending in here. And he's saying, why should I have to pay $139,000 per trailer when I can get it hooked up because I have people working for me that are plumbers, electricians, and all. I don't need to pay the exorbitant prices. It was, yeah, that was it. But you see, all the houses here are down. You know, they only gym set, and they do it quick. You know, they do it like in 2 days. So the little blacktop really isn't level. You see, I have a little water spot, but they did a good job. You know, they really did. You know, they gave that little pavilion. You see, but most of these houses are structurally unsound, and you'll see a little sticker on it. It's where Mr. Roberts would sit you down and talk, and you use your imagination.
Yeah, this is where the
But Sesame Street, you got to keep entertaining, and well, and it's got to go higher. So they'll keep this area. This was a beautiful park, you know, at one time.
Well, what happens to the people who are now building?
They're taking a chance. They're taking a chance. Right now I'm in Covington, and I have to stay there 3 years because of that road home money, which I didn't get, but waiting like everybody else, and then deciding when I come back it'll be in Araby. You know.
When they applied for their money, they got a message saying, oh, sorry, you're not eligible.
They're crazy.
And she had flood water up to her rooftop.
Right. She could appeal that.
She did. And she said she didn't have to.
Yeah. Because all of St. Bernard, 28 feet right here. 28 feet.
I remember watching.
And if they need footage, they have all that filming. You know, they have all the filming. They have all the film that they could show.
Here's coming up the wall.
Writing on the
Yeah,
roof.
what does that say?
It send help, you know, because the water was all the way past those glass windows. And this was the headquarters. This was the Civil Defense headquarters right here. And it was over the glass there. All through there.
There's a board.
That's
This
it.
is it. This is the wall.
Remember how it covered Super Center? And it was up to the, that's it.
First time we came,
And it's not open now.
Oh, no,
Man
it's
coming
not.
by.
Yeah.
And then if you look over to the left, that's the river, and they only had a foot of water. Now they had over 2,000 businesses, now under 200. $125 a square foot. Yes.
So where are they living now?
Houston, Austin, and Arkansas, all over.
The
They're
ones that are in the hotels, they're still in the FEMA trailers?
oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a
the
library.
ones that are-
Now this is Caffin Avenue. Over to the left, about 4 blocks up, on Murray, $100 to have this memorial built, you know, in the 9th Ward. The blue columns, they should be the other way, because the river is to the left. One little blue chair. Can you see it? All by itself.
Oh, yeah.
Right over there.
Coming home.
Now, all of this land that you see here had houses. They were available. Everything was just covered with houses because the industrial canal levee broke at this point, and you're going to see it. It had an earthen levee. That flood wall was never there. That flood wall was put there just after the storm because of the outcry of, you know, the poor people in Lower Ninth because they didn't have flood protection.
So this is the lower nine.
This is the Lower Ninth, and that little brick, that little concrete is a new. And from this concrete all the way over to that tower, this is what broke. You know, all of this and all these houses. I mean, this empty land. You can see the industrial canal here, and how. Now they put this flood wall. There is no flood wall on the other side of the industrial canal. So this is the Achilles heel for French Quarter. which is over here to the left. Correct. That's it. It's called the Inner Harbor Navigational Canal, but everybody calls it the industrial, because it comes from the river all the way to the lake. And remember, we crossed over on that high rise on that other side. Now we're crossing over the industrial canal. We've crossed from lower 9th, and now we're in upper 9th ward. They had 3 feet of water here in upper 9th. Now I think I have another 2 more pictures. It's got a good sense of humor. It's a memorial to the drowned instruments. You see her on the garland, they have a trombone, a trumpet, a guitar, then they have drums and a trombone going up the light post there, and on the roof they have drums. It's a monument, a memorial to the drowned instruments of the musicians. 2 young men. Oh, some of them are. We're going to get there. Look across the street. This is what you got to look at. You know, but those 2 young guys, Harry Connick Jr. and Stanford Marsalis, knew about these 4 squares of land that the school board had that they didn't have any schools on. So they bought it and they connected to Habitat, and they've built already 30 houses. Now these are in already. See the purple and this orange one? They're in already. Now this middle part here, see this open area? That's going to be the Ellis Marsalis Center. And it's a teaching, it's going to be a concert hall in the middle, and it's going to be classrooms, you know, through here. But they have 30 houses that are built. Now, these houses are 1,500 square feet. They're 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, a parlor, a kitchen, a utility room, and a den. And it's $75,000 per house. No down payment. Your down payment is your sweat equity.